At the end of the day, if you're a big online e-commerce player, you have hundreds of thousands of millions of words. I mean, you can't you don't have the time to do all manual translation.
Hey, good WordPress people. Welcome back to the WPMRR WordPress podcast. I'm Joe.
And I am Obi-Wan Kenobi.
And you're listening to the WordPress Business Podcast. We got Obi-Wan on the pod this week. Obi-Wan's a popular character, obviously. Like people love Obi-Wan on the pod in Star Wars. So we got Obi-Wan on the podcast this week. What's going on, Obi-Wan?
I mean, I'm fine. A bit quarantine with the COVID, but apart from that, I'm fine.
Yeah. Tell me about it. It's I think it's been a tough time for everyone. Although, I've heard a lot of people in the WordPress space, people say business is going well, everyone's online, everyone's doing more WordPress stuff, so things are picking up for me, but it still doesn't mean it's not tough for people. It's a challenging time, I think, for everybody in the world right now. But we've got Obi-Wan on the pod this week, also known as Augustin Prot. So Augustin, we met at I think it was WordCamp Europe last year, right before we started recording. We were like, oh, so good to see you. Like, it's been like a year since we saw each other. But I think it was WordCamp Europe 2019. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. And we also met at WordCamp US 2019 too, I guess.
Oh, we did both.
Or maybe no. We actually met together at WordCamp US 2019, and you met one of the other co-founder of WeGlot at WordCamp Europe 2019.
Oh, okay. That's where my brain is like short circuiting a little bit. So cool. I remember seeing you guys at WordCamp Europe because I feel like everybody like who has a booth or something like or is like doing some sort of promotion of these big WordCamps have like swag, or they have like t-shirts or like hoodies, and you guys had like the hoodless sweatshirts, which was like were super unique, and I was like, those look really cool, and like WeGlot was like really nicely printed on them. So I remember being like, oh, WeGlot's got awesome swag. So we could take a lesson out of your book because ours is kind of basic.
Yeah, we tried to improve our swags over years, but I could show you the pens and the pencils we have. We had the first year we did the WordCamp. There is no shame, but it was very alpha beta version of our swags.
Yeah, right on. It's always a journey, right? If you anything cool you see, you should have seen the 5 versions before that. It'll give you some clarity into the work that went into making it really good. So, but cool. Yeah. Okay. Augustin, tell folks a little bit about you, about WeGlot. I already blew it. You're the co-founder of WeGlot, but tell folks a little bit more about the company and yourself as part of that.
Yeah, sure, with pleasure. So I'm the co-founder of WeGlot. We're 2 in this journey. The other co-founder is Remy, who is more the technical guy. I'm more the business guy. And WeGlot is actually it's a solution to make any website multilingual easily. So basically, you have a website, it's in English or in French, and you want to make it available in other languages, Italian, Spanish, and others. You would use WeGlot to do that. So it would help you to translate and to display the translated versions to your end visitors. And right now we have approximately 50,000 users in the world. It's going great. We're 20 people in the team. I mean, it's an amazing journey. We're very happy.
Yeah, very cool. So 50,000 users about. Is there what's the split between? I don't know if you do a freemium version or if it's only premium. Is it part of those free users and part of those paid users?
We do free trial and free version. So we have a free trial, freemium model. So we have approximately 15,000 paying customers, and we have 35,000 free customers users.
Yeah, cool. That's a pretty good split. That's like 30% of folks who use WeGlot are premium users, which I'm not a plugin guy, so I actually don't know if that's like high or low, but it seems pretty high to me. Like 30% of people who use it are like paying for it. That sounds pretty good, because I know a lot of plugins, I'm sure, have like a lower percent, probably like 10% are paying and most are free. So Cool. Have you been using the like the freemium model slash like having a free plugin and a premium plugin since the beginning, or have you kind of changed your business model as things have
No,
grown?
we changed actually. I mean, at the
Okay.
at the very beginning, we didn't have a plugin. We had only a JavaScript library. So we would ask people to
Ah.
add the JavaScript snippet in their HTML. And at the very beginning, again, we used to go to remote working offices. I was like asking everyone on the tables, do you have a website? Can you add my product and tell me what you do, if you like it or not? And most of them would reply to me, yeah, but do you have a WordPress plugin? I don't know how to add the JavaScript snippet. So that's how we went from having a JavaScript library to a WordPress plugin. And to be on the directory, you need to have a real free version. So before that,
Oh, okay.
we had a free trial, and we actually added the free version because it was required to be listed on the directory.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I feel like that's something I should know as someone who's deep in the WordPress space, but I don't know if I ever explicitly knew that. It sounds like having a free plugin allows you access to be in the repository, and although you're using that probably to bring in mostly free users, it's also like kind of like free marketing for you. Like it allows new users to come in and potentially upgrade in the future, but it's also like it gives you a huge market to find new users from. And so, yeah, I guess that's kind of how it works.
Yeah, it's an amazing. I mean, it's an amazing hub of distribution, and you can touch many people. It was great for us to test traction and to test if it actually worked, and if you were able to make money with it. So yeah, the proof of concept was great thanks to this distribution through the directory.
Yeah.
Also, I would say that making the decision to have a free version was a very good thing. I mean, apart from being able to be listed on the directory, because we really try to bring the value very quickly to the user. So without having him getting his credit card or anything else. So having the possibility to use the product for free for a very small project, I think it's, in a way, it removed the idea of we only want your money to users that are trying to discover the product.
Yeah, yeah, I totally get that. I always feel like we're trying to do that better because we don't like we're services companies. We don't have like a free anything we do because we can't really do free services. Like that the model doesn't work for a services company. But I think what we try to do in like that equivalent space is like we really try to educate people. We have a ton of great blog content. Like we just started a YouTube channel with tutorials, and it's like yes, like at the end of the day, like these are like marketing opportunities for us, but we want to be like a marketing opportunity that like shows people like, hey, you can trust us. Hey, we really helped you with these things. Maybe now you want to work with us. So I totally get that. And I think that that makes a lot of sense.
And
I
even when
always,
sorry,
yeah, go ahead.
but
No,
even when you look at what's going on in the software industry, when you look at Slack, at Zoom, at other great services, they have it's a large free tier. It's not just a tricky free tier when you only have like I don't know, a tenth of the product. It's really something
yeah,
that people can use and they can discover, and then they can bring it in their own company or department, and it
yeah.
provides value to the rest of the team. And at this point, they can convert into a paying customer.
Yeah, I think that's something that people in the WordPress space are very cognizant of. If like a free version of a plugin it's just a free version just to have a free version, but it's not really like useful to people. I've heard a lot of people, who say like, I won't name any specific plugins. There are definitely some free plugins out there that people like complain about. Like this is all just like you have to upgrade to do anything useful here. So I'd be interested to hear from you. Like, how did you walk that fine line, and how I'm sure you still are, but like, how do you find that balance between offering a lot of great things in the free plugin to make it really valuable for people, while also making sure that the business is sustainable and giving people the opportunity to upgrade when something really is going to be that valuable for them? Like, how do you guys figure out what's going to go in the free version and what goes in the premium paid one?
it's hard. I think it's a balance between what we can do and how users and customers respond to what we're trying to build in terms of the line between the free and the paid one. And on the
Yeah.
other hand, it's also a cost issue. We're paying based on usage. So for example, if a website has 10,000 words and low traffic, we're not paying the same for a website that has 1 million translated words and high traffic. So it's normal that the second one would pay more than the first one. And then we had the feeling that the key values of WeGlot, it's being able to add WeGlot in minutes. I mean, to make your website multilingual in minutes, and being able to translate your website at least if it's a small one, I don't know, a landing page for an app or a hotel, a small hotel website, you could do that for free. So we try to make it possible for this kind of tier to use the free version. But it's a very complex line. We iterated a lot, and now we have the feeling that we found kind of a balance that's working.
Yeah, cool. I think a lot of people who are like starting off, like if someone's thinking about starting a like translation plugin, they'd think like that kind of like pricing is so complex and like what do I include free, what do I include not? And I think it's important to realize like a lot of this comes with experimentation. A lot of things comes with hearing feedback from customers, and like no one's going to get it right the first time, and it's always going to be an evolution. Like I'm sure you're still at the point where you're like kind of thinking about a few features, like, oh, what should go here, what should go here. Like it's a constant journey, and it's going to be for everybody. Yeah, okay. And so we have like free version. Why did you start a translation plugin? Was this something that you like found a need for, or did you like, are you really into translation? Is that part of your like backstory? Like I love to hear like why people started businesses in the first place in terms of like being in like the translation space in this instance.
So it's actually not my story. It's more my co-founder story. This one. On my side, I had a like financial background. I didn't know about CSS, HTML before, so it's really about my co-founder. And Remy, before WeGlot, he did he started another startup that was a mix between Google Maps and for example. Apps where you can buy and sell things to your neighbor or to anyone. So it was a mix between the two of them of it. And he was in charge of the web development. So he did the web app, he did the mobile app, and when he faced really extremely complex challenges, technically speaking, he always found a solution. So, for example, when he had to do text messages, he used Twilio. When he had to do email, he used SendGrid, just copy pasting a small snippet, and it was working. When he had to do payment, he did Stripe. And then doing an online payment getaway, it's very complex. So having a solution like Stripe or its competitors, it's really useful.
Yeah.
And when he had to do translations, he speaks English. He made, part of his studies at Columbia in New York, but the technical complexity behind that was, it was low value, time consuming. He didn't understand why he couldn't find just a tool to make it easy to just make your website multilingual, SEO friendly, taking care of URLs. You just focus on translations. And that's really how the idea came out. That was a frustration, a pain point he experienced. And when he decided to stop the first startup because he couldn't, they didn't make money, he just said, okay, I need to build a product that does that. So
cool.
And I met them at this point. So we started to start the rest of the WeGlot journey from there.
Yeah, I want to dive into that even more because I think that a lot of people like you who are on like more of the marketing business development side, everyone's looking for like a technical co-founder, right? It's like, I have all these great ideas, but like, I don't really know how to build it. I could really use some help there. So I like to dive in a little bit into like how did you like meet your technical co-founder story as maybe like the non-technical co-founder? Because like, that's me, I'm a non-technical co-founder, and Nick is like, does everything technical as is the rest of my team. But like in terms of you two meeting, did you meet like, and then 2 weeks later start to get to work together? Had you known each other for a little bit before you started working together?
We didn't know each other before, and actually we met through a friend of mine that used to work for like a kind of an incubator for startups in France, and they were being incubated by this incubator, and so they warned them that they would stop the first startup, and then they were open to meet other people that can have complementary skills. That's how the idea. I mean, that's how we get the meeting together. And then during the meeting, we kind of described that we were what we were working on, both of us. And he had a strong pain point. He already had a first prototype and a first user. So, I mean, and I really liked not only the idea, because I didn't know about websites or even SaaS like SendGrid or Twilio, but the way he presented me the issue and the problem he was trying to solve, and the way he was building the prototype, very customer centric. I mean, he was doing things. He was not trying to explain me or to teach me things. He was doing things, and it was. I mean, and I was like, okay, if you're looking for someone else, let me try being the number two. So I tried to find as many users as possible during the next weeks, and then learning from that, trying to learn how we distribute, how we do the pricing. I mean, the goal was to really to prove that we could make money. I mean, 10 customers, and there is a market for that. And we did that without a bank account for the company, without a registered name, nothing. Just checking that. And once we reached that 10 or 20 customers, and we saw the traction, especially thanks to the WordPress community, we said, okay, so now we do the statements, and we register the company, and we can focus on the development.
Yeah, cool. I like that all of that came about from an introduction from someone who said, hey, you two should meet. I think a lot of people are like, networking, like that sounds so formal and stuff. And you don't have to like network in the most like formal way possible, like shaking hands and trading business cards. But it's another lesson of that, like having and knowing some people in the space is important, because this, like these big things, all of WeGlot, it started because there was one introduction, and these small little details can blossom into huge things, and they almost always do. Probably most people who've done big things have a few small pieces that were like, wow, if that hadn't happened, who knows what things would have been like today. Cool. I want to jump into community stuff here in a second, because I'm interested to hear about like utilization of the community to help grow your product, the WordPress community specifically. But one thing before we jump into that is, you mentioned previously like that WeGlot is able to, like, one of your values is helping people be able to set up like a multi-language website in minutes, which I think is really valuable for a lot of people who don't necessarily have the time to do all sorts of manual translation and to like spend hours doing that, or pay, like expensive rates for people to be able to do that for their whole website. But I think there are also like two camps of people. Like, one is like automatic and fast and maybe not 100% correct translation. But then there's people who are like, I manually translate everything. I get translators to manually do it because I know it's going to be correct. Sounds like WeGlot in the like in the promotion of getting websites translated for everyone, even if it's not 100% correctly translated. But maybe I'm not right about that. I'd love to like kind of hear a little bit more about like WeGlot's perspective on fast translation and how you help people to translate quickly and get their website translated in minutes, but also like giving them high quality translations.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for the question. So I think it's very important to clarify. So yes, so we are not translators. So we are not there to be a translator. We're there to provide the tool to make it possible to translate the website and to manage
Gotcha.
And so what we do is then we provide a first layer of automatic translations, like you said, because I think it's, I mean, two reasons. First, I mean, automatic translation engines gets, I mean, they are so good now. I mean, it's really impressive. Spanish to English, English to Spanish, French also. It's really impressive. So first, the quality of the automatic translation really improved over the last years. Second, it's really good to start with something. So when you install WeGlot, you have a first layer of translation. Then you can yourself, your team, your in-house translator you're used to work with, you can just edit and validate the translation if you want directly on the WeGlot tool. And last, if you prefer working with professional translators, you can just order professional translations directly from the WeGlot tool too. So the idea is really to give you the resources to build your own workflow depending on your budget and your constraint and how you want to do that. But at the end of the day, if you're a big online e-commerce player, you have hundreds of thousands of millions of words. I mean, you don't have the time to do all manual translation. So you need to do a balance between maybe the key pages, the key products, and the other ones that are less important in your website. I mean, at least at the very beginning. And then you can improve it over time. That's a way to build it, but you can have a different workflow. Again, the users create their workflow.
Yeah, I like that idea and concept a lot, of allowing people to create their own workflows. And I like the idea of speeding up translation by starting with an automatic translation, and then instead of having to manually translate everything, you edit a translation and have someone just like proofread it, which probably is a lot faster than going through and manually translating all these pages. And the idea of, I mean, I know some companies that do like manual translations for all their pages, and it seems like a lot of work, and it seems very expensive. And I think that it's also interesting to hear, because technology is getting better, right? It's like in 10 years, think about how good auto translate's going to be, you know? So maybe people won't need manual translators in 10 years because the error rate will be so small. I think it's cool that you're helping people do that now, because it will only probably continue to gain momentum as time goes on, because again, the technology just gets better. Community. Sounds like community has been really important for you to grow WeGlot. It's important for us here at WP Books too. We're like very involved in the community. Community has helped us grow significantly, and we'll always have to be thankful to everybody and continue to give back to the community. But I'd love to hear, like, from a plugin developer's perspective or a plugin's perspective, like, what did you guys do to lean on the WordPress community a little bit to help grow WeGlot, and like what kind of how useful was it in terms of your journey?
Yeah, maybe I can first talk about the very beginnings, because at the very beginning, when we knew nothing about WordPress, we discovered that there was a French community. And so we tried to contact people, cold emailing people. Obviously, I mean, not everyone answers you, but we had many answers. So, for example, Jonathan from WP Rocket, or also Kim from MailPoet. These are two guys that had great plugins and businesses at this time, and they could just ignore us. They replied, and they actually gave us advice. And it was really useful and helpful, and it was, I don't know, it's maybe it's a kind way of doing business. It's not just about money, but they were happy just to share their experience and advice. And from there, we sponsored our first WordCamp in Paris, France. It was very early 2016. That's when we officially launched WeGlot, and that's where we met most of the people from the community. And yeah, I mean, they have been very helpful, very welcoming. So overall, it was surprisingly easy to get access to great people into the community the first day you meet them. So thanks for everything. It was, I mean, I think that this frustration could not have happened without that. So from there, we understood two things: that we needed to keep investing into the community, because we could, learn a lot of things, and also the power of the community as a way to reach more people for your business. I don't want to do like of course, there is a part that's marketing. When we support WordCamp, we expect to be more visible to the community. But I think we're trying to do that in a healthy way. So we're trying to invest our time and money to give back to the community and to make sure there is a fair balance between what you get and what you give to the community. I don't know if we achieve that, but that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, it's a hard balance. It's one that all companies, I think, in the WordPress space are always trying to do. I that's what I want to talk about too, is like the balance between, you know, giving back to the WordPress community and trying to give back more than you take and like leave a place better than you found it, right? It's like that mentality. But also like growing a healthy business and one that is like financially healthy and successful. It can be difficult to find that balance sometimes, right? I'm not going to lie. Like, you know, there's sometimes I want to do like more marketing stuff. And a lot of times I think that like all the marketing and community stuff I do is pretty much in line, like all the marketing stuff I want to do is pretty in line with the community stuff, because like our values as a company are structured in a way that's like, we want to help people, like, and that's how we attract customers. But it can be a challenge, and I know it can be a challenge for other folks too. So in terms of like what y'all do at WeGlot, sponsorships sound like one thing. Maybe some other things.
I mean, there is. I mean, we're doing several things, but we're doing classic sponsorships to WordPress WordCamp. I mean, right now there is no WordCamp anymore, but
yeah,
it's going to come
all
back.
Virtual.
I mean, yes, all virtual. And we're also doing the same for meetups when it's possible, for local meetups. What we also love to do is to try to partner with members of the community, individuals, and rather than going ourselves, taking the plane and being there for the WordCamp, we prefer partner with local people and making them kind of ambassadors of of WeGlot for a day or two. Obviously, it's only the case when they like WeGlot, when we have a good feeling between them and us. And I think it's a way of it's a balance. Of course, we hire them, so there is a fee for that on top of our sponsoring. But I think it's I don't know, it's a fair balance between what we give and what we get, and it's also a way to make the community keep growing in a healthy way. I mean, that's the feeling we have. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it's a good way to increase our presence inside the communities.
Yeah, I think probably that's right, and that's a good way to think about it. And like the more, okay, if you want to grow more from the community, you have to give more to the community. That seems like the only real equation that's going to like make the community sustainable, is if people aren't just like taking from the community. Sure, maybe you can take a little bit more from the community, but you have to put in twice as much as you're taking, or 3 times as much, or whatever that number is. But yeah.
And
cool.
Also I'm thinking that there is this wave of this trend of no code, so more and more easy things to use, more and more plugins and solutions in WordPress, but also outside of WordPress. And so if you want this to continue, and if you want WordPress to keep a growing market share, I think we also all need to have more professionalization of some of the service, like what you do currently.
Yeah.
And so it also means people getting more from what they do for WordPress. So paying them more for things they do. So it's also, I think it makes sense. WordPress is attracting more and more money. It has to go somewhere else, also into the community, and not only through the WordCamps.
Yeah, we've talked about that a lot on the podcast, of the WordPress space changing a little bit and more money coming into the space, which in essence changes a lot about how the WordPress space functions, both, you know, community-wise and economically. How do you think companies can continue to professionalize their services better? Like what pain or what gap are you seeing in terms of like companies that could do a little better in that area? Like, yeah, anything specific that you're like, oh, companies should probably try and do X, Y, and Z better?
I'm not going to name anyone, because I don't really have any. I don't have any example in mind, and I don't have I'm not I mean, I'm no one to give advice for that. But what I see as a trend is very focused solutions for very specific pain points or problems, even if it's a niche. I mean, if it's good and you're focusing your time on it, you should be paid. So we need more and more premium solutions, more and more paid solutions within WordPress that are doing things great. That's a general comment I can do. I mean,
yeah. Sorry, I totally did not mean I want you to call out a company and like
no,
somehow
I know.
but I totally agree with you. I think probably the WordPress space, like a lot of people in the WordPress space, have probably been like underpaid for a long time. I think that as a like the WordPress economy, we have some growing up to do to match like the money that's coming into WordPress. And I think that instead of providing like a good solution for a good price, like folks should be continuing to try to find how can they provide a better service, how can they make an even better product that people will pay more for, that will be more expensive, but that gives more to the end customer as well. I think that's really important, and a lot of folks have found more financial success when they move up market. And I know a lot of folks in the WordPress space, they want to help everybody. They want to be at a price point where anybody can afford them, and they want to help as many people as possible. And I totally get that. But I think that there's also the space to make sure that things are priced correctly. I think you can do both. I think you can help a lot of people, and I think you can also be priced correctly, whether you have a new pricing tier for certain people, or if someone has 1 million pages need translated, obviously they're going to pay a little bit more for that. I think that there's every WordPress business should be thinking of ways to offer more premium offerings so that they can run a healthier business financially and like continue to give back financially in the ways that are important to help the space grow. So I dig what you're saying. It makes sense to me. All right, cool. We talked a little bit about community stuff, helping you build. Support. I'd like to talk a little bit about that because that's something you mentioned here. It was one of the things we could talk about. Obviously, we do a lot of supports, like the main thing we do at WP Bucks, but a little bit different for a plugin company. How do you do support, and where is it in terms of like your priorities as a company?
It's we've done support like 95% of our time the first year of doing WeGlot with Remy. I mean, we were so happy to have people chatting to us. I mean, we spend hours to get people to use the product. When people are coming to the product and asking you questions, you're happy. I mean, you can close your Game of Thrones and whatever, and if it's midnight more, whatever, it's great.
It means they're using it, and it means they want to do more with it because they're asking questions. So it's like, yes,
exactly, and that's where you understand your issues. That's where you have your best features requests. I mean, this is at the very center of our company today. We are a bit more than 20 people. And it's 1/3 tech team, 1/3 marketing, and 1/3 support. And we provide support to all our users. I mean, free and paid ones. And it's very important because we believe that we've all been in a situation where we need support for anything, from a phone company to an online issue with the product and so on. And when you have the answer timely and it's exactly what we're looking for, and it's fixed, you're very happy. So I think it's part of the journey, and you need to be very focused on the customer journey. And on the other hand, it's your responsibility and your job to decrease and lower the level of support by improving your product. So that's a way to see if your product is going into the right direction. So if the average number of support per user is decreasing, and if the difficulty per case is decreasing, it means your product is improving.
Yeah, I think that there are definitely plugins out there and definitely folks out there who are like, support is a premium thing. Like, you have to be a paying customer to get support, which I understand. Like, I understand the concept of that. I think there are definitely distinct advantages to doing support also for free members. Obviously, you may not be getting directly paid for that free support, but like you said, it's part of the customer journey. You'll probably get more people to stick with you, to upgrade to a premium license, also to talk about you more, more 5-star reviews in the repository. I think also as a company that, like all companies, like we all have to listen to our customers and get feedback from them to like figure out what we're going to build next. And if you're doing free support, it actually gives you a huge access to all your customers because they're telling you like their pain points, and you can build, lists of like, 10 people in the last month asked about this thing, like we should probably change the UX there, and that can help all your customers, including your premium customers, which will eventually like reduce churn for your premium customers. So I think it's a complicated science between, choosing to go which route you want to go, supporting free customers or not. But I think there are definitely a lot of advantages to doing that. Plus, it's just a good thing to do, like you said. So.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I go for supporting free customers. I mean, they're giving you ideas, they're giving you features, they're giving you bug issues. So yeah. I mean, it's value actually. It has value. Also on the other hand, we're a subscription-based service. So if someone is not happy with our service, it can stop paying us the next month. So we have a responsibility to keep improving the business, to make sure they're happy with the product and they're happy with the service every month, which is, in a sense, it's a healthy way to do business, because whenever we stop improving the product, or we stop solving their issues, or we're creating more problems to his experience. I mean, they can just remove our plugin or our solution and choose another product. Yeah. And we're not only on WordPress. Right. We started out in WordPress, but now you can use WeGlot. I mean, if you have another CMS or even custom websites. Yeah.
Okay, so like works across like Squarespace or like Shopify or Wix or stuff like that.
Yeah, you can do. But also, if you have something in JavaScript or in PHP Symfony, you can use it.
Yeah, cool. I mean, support's just so important and adds so much value to everything you're doing. It's always good to hear when people are so focused on it. I think it.
And I want to say that our support team is amazing. Really, I'm really proud to work with these guys because they're doing an amazing job.
Totally, I feel the same way. It's like the support is so core to what we do. It's like they're doing the most important work we could do, which is like helping people when there's a problem. Also, when proactively, when they need help doing X, Y, or Z, but especially when there's a problem, like to be the people who are there on the front lines to help them when someone's having a challenge. And you know WordPress pretty well at this point. There's all sorts of stuff that could go wrong. It's to like be able to help people through that challenging time is like just great. And so I say the same thing about our support team. Like, nice. All right, very cool. I like to kind of wrap up at the end of these by hearing a little bit more about like what the future of WeGlot looks like. What do you have planned during the next year or so? Or like, what does next year look like, especially like now during this kind of crazy time in the world of like COVID happening, not a lot of, no WordCamp Europe this year, no WordCamp Europe next year. What do you have planned for the next year?
I mean, it's hard to say. First, we're among the lucky ones. I mean, we can do remote work easily. The business is up. We don't need to fire anyone. So, I mean, just for that, I think we're very lucky, and it's great that we can keep doing business. Then for the year coming, I mean, we now have the possibility, as I said, to use WeGlot on any website. So we're trying to grow also into other communities. So you name, for example, Squarespace. So it's interesting with that. We're also trying to do things with them. And we're also, for supporting the community, trying to keep talking to all people we were talking before the COVID. And we're trying to share best practices of people going 100% online between, for example, I think that it's in Toronto, they did meetups 100% online. and they didn't. I mean, it's doing great for them, and so we try to share their best practices to other meetups we know, so they can, if they want, they can do it, and they can apply the best practice and the guidelines of the guys in Toronto. And we'll see. I mean, we found out that WordCamp supports virtual WordCamps. When you do only sponsoring booth, it's not working that well. I mean, at least when you don't have a big name like, I don't know, WPMRR or GoDaddy, which are great, but they have a big brand name. We don't have this level of brand name. So we're trying to find another way to give back and being visible, which is not always easy. I think there are more and more local initiatives. For example, we've seen podcasts and online courses in Spain. It's really, I mean, there is a strong active community over there, and we're trying to support them also. So yeah, it's really, I mean, if you have any ideas or initiatives, come to us. We always, we always like to discuss, and we will be very quick to say yes or no.
Yeah, I really like your focus on local WordPress, because I think a lot of people in the WordPress community think about WordCamps and they think about WordCamp US and WordCamp Europe, but there's so many local WordPress meetups and just like WordPress at a somewhat smaller scale. That's no worse than the larger scale. It's in a lot of cases more intimate. You can have more conversations with fewer people, and these local meetups are great. Like our DC meetups has been awesome over the years. So all that sounds cool, man. Let's wrap up. Discount code. Folks want to try out WeGlot Premium. Can they use a little discount code?
Sure, you can. First, you can try WeGlot without paying anything, just creating an account. So, and then if you're convinced, you can use a 20% lifetime discount code, which is WPBuff20. I repeat, WPBuff20.
Nice. WPBuff20 if people want to check out the premium version. But like Augustin has talked about on this podcast, they do support for free users as well. And they love their free users and want to continue to support them. So yeah, try it. And then when you're ready to upgrade, feel free to use that discount code. Cool. I also like to give people your information. Where can people go to find you online, WeGlot, social media, all that?
Yeah, you can find us on our website, www.weglot.com. It's available in French, English, Spanish, Japanese, other language coming. You can also find us on the official WordPress directory. We have a plugin page, and we have a YouTube channel. We have a Twitter and a LinkedIn. You can find us. And if you have any question, you can just send an email to contact@weglot.com or support@weglot.com.
Awesome. Last thing I like to ask our guests for is to ask our listeners for a little iTunes review for this show. So if you wouldn't mind asking folks for a little review, I'd appreciate it.
So I'm asking a review for you on the podcast. Okay,
yes, you are.
Just to be sure I understand. So yeah, we all know reviews are key. I mean, I know that. I'm chasing 1-star reviews, and I'm to turn them into 5. So don't put a 1, put directly a 5. It's easier. And rate this podcast. It's great. I love it.
Right on, man. Thank you. And if you leave a review, make sure you leave Augustin's name in the comments or something you learned from this episode. That way we can get feedback and know what episodes you really liked, and then we can also shoot it to Augustin and say, hey, thanks for the review. Appreciate it. If you are a new listener to the WPMRR WordPress podcast, we got a bunch of old episodes, especially during this time where we're all working remotely, or we're all home looking for new things to do. Don't go binge Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max or Disney Plus or whatever. Go binge some old episodes of the WPMRR WordPress podcast. We've got 100 plus episodes in the bank on whatever topic you need to listen about. So go check out some of those. If you have questions for us at the show, feel free to ping us with those so we can do more live Q&A episodes. Just yo@WPMRR.com. yo@WPMRR.com. Christy and I will do some more Q&A episodes. Those are always a fun time. WPMRR.com if you want to check out a virtual summit all about helping your WordPress business do better around monthly recurring revenue and subscription pricing and all that stuff, come check out the WPMRR Summit. It's this September, and it's going to be awesome. All the details are right on the website, WPMRR.com. We will be back in your podcast players again next Tuesday. Augustin, thanks again for being on, man. It's been real.
Thanks a lot. It's a pleasure.